concluded on that. Okay. The simple reason that the honorable member should write to Mr. Speaker, he has not.
That's Andrew Makwesiama.
So we are with...
On Friday, which side of the house will the NDCC?
We are engaging. We've not concluded.
We have details as a third meeting is scheduled while the NDC sides blame the delay on the Fomina MP, but the NPP deputy leader disputes that claim.
I can confirm that the honorable member for Fomina has made a clear declaration and there is an indication that he would go by his words.
So what's stopping him from letting the speaker know that?
Has Mr. Speaker complained to you that he hasn't received any official communication from him?
We have details of that and more here on Top Story. I am Emefa Apawu, and Top Story is brought to you by Vodafone. The future is exciting, ready, and Bell Aqua Mineral Water. And tonight, the second day of meeting by leaders in Parliament to agree on who controls the House has once again ended inconclusively. The leaders are expected to meet again tomorrow to attempt an agreement on the way forward. Today's meeting lasted for less than an hour, we're told, and 3 issues are currently outstanding. Which side should constitute a majority is one, which side should chair various committees two, and which caucus should sit on the right-hand side of the Speaker. Now, according to the Deputy NDC Whip, Ibrahim Ahmed, Fomina MP Andrew Makwesiama's delay in writing officially to the Speaker on which side he chooses to do business with is what is stalling the entire process.
New Speaker Alban Bagbin chaired the meeting, which had the leader of the NDC caucus, Haruna Idrisu, leader of the NPP caucus. New Speaker Alban Bagbin chaired the meeting, which had the leader of the NDC caucus, Haruna Idrisu, leader of the NPP caucus. New Speaker Alban Bagbin chaired the meeting, which had the leader of the NDC caucus, Haruna Idrisu, leader of the NPP caucus, Oseichi Mensah-Bonsu, their deputies as well as chief whips all participating. On the agenda were a number of items, including which side should hold majority in the House, which of the two sides should sit on the right-hand side of the Speaker in the chamber, and which side should chair the various committees of Parliament. The NPP is insisting, together with the Fomina MP, they should hold majority in the House as well as control all but 2 committees of the House. But the NDC is insisting that there is no majority and chairmanship of the various committees should be splitted equally. Fomina MP Andrew Makwesiama, who was also in the meeting, has been asked to officially communicate in writing which side of the House he hopes to do business with to allow for a firm decision to be taken. Haruna Idrisu says after almost 3 hours of meeting, the thorny issues are yet to be resolved.
As you witness, we just had a meeting with the Speaker. No official indication have been
given. We agreed on who sit on the right or the left-hand side of the Speaker.
These are matters to be resolved. As far as we are concerned, we are 137, 137. We expect that there will be some communication which may trigger further discussion on this.
But that hasn't happened yet.
Joy
News understands a follow-up meeting is expected to come off later today to attempt resolving the issues before the House resumes sitting on Friday.
So that was a wrap of the first day of that meeting. That's the first meeting that was held yesterday by Joseph Opoku Gakpo. We can now hear from the Deputy NDC Whip, Ibrahim Ahmed, who is accusing the Fomina MP Andrew Makwesiama of delay or stalling the entire process after today's meeting, which is the second.
We've not concluded on that. Okay. The simple reason that the honorable member should write to Mr. Speaker, he has not.
That's Andrew Makwesiama.
So we have a lot of a tall list of businesses to done.
Why hasn't he done that writing to the Speaker? Do you have an idea? Do you have an idea why he hasn't written that letter to the Speaker? On Friday, which side of the House will the NDC
you see, we are engaging. We've not concluded. So it is not just a matter of who will be majority, who will be minority. And these are the things that we are doing. Which side should we belong to? And which side should they belong to? There are offices annexed. Which side should take possession of those offices? And how many of us are leaving? How many of them are coming? And who should occupy which office? These are the engagements that we are having.
Is there a deadlock?
No. There's no deadlock at all. This is a meeting of leadership. You know, we used to do this in the last parliament. And sometimes we used to do it in a residential form of meeting. So this meeting that you see us on, if you see us keeping long, it doesn't mean there's a deadlock.
Is Honorable Siama refusing to write the letter in question, which is holding?
I definitely cannot say that is his private issue to be done. You understand? That is private issue. And even if he writes to the speaker will not bring it to us in our meeting here. This is a meeting of leadership. You understand?
We're told as far back as yesterday is when he was being asked to write this letter, which is like
He was not asked to write any letter, and nobody can ask him to write any letter. The Honorable Samia Nkrumah came here. He didn't write any letter. There are precedents and there are incidences, and we are practicing a system of parliamentary practice and conventions. So don't say that he was forced or he was asked to write. So we are not yet there.
They have the majority, and he's written a whole piece detailing.
It is part of the issues that will be discussed at leadership meeting. Once you have, Afenyo has just joined the leadership. You understand? You don't report incomplete decisions. And I've told you we have committees allocation, we have offices allocation, we have order of business, we have committees to be formed, like the committee of appointment committee, business committee, selection committee. These are committees that leadership have to engage and form. So that even at the beginning of the parliament, that committee of selection will select which people should form the business committee, the appointment committee, and the other. These are matters we are discussing. So we've not agreed on how to do this. We, the fifths, have been tasked to go and compile list and bring who should be in business committee, who should be in appointment committee, who should be in selection. These are things that we are doing. You have to do all those things. Members are coming tomorrow. Before they come, they must know which offices they are coming to occupy. Some members have to go. We have a lot of, so if you are pushing us, majority, minority, it is not something beyond our.
It's your own people who are pushing you, like Afenyo Markins detailing that and saying that per the provisions in the standing orders, they occupy the majority. He doesn't give the sense it's in contention.
That's why I'm telling you that we have a tall list of businesses that we are doing. So let's wait. This meeting will continue tomorrow. So tomorrow, when a key decision is taken, then the leaders will come and brief you.
That's the Deputy NDC Whip, Ibrahim Ahmed, there speaking to my colleague Joseph Opoku Gakpo. But the Deputy Leader of the NPP caucus, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, says he's unaware that Mr. Mwakwesiama's inaction is stalling a resolution. He says the NPP will on Friday morning invite Alban Bagbin, Right Honourable Speaker, to rule on the issue of which side should constitute majority if no resolution is reached before Friday.
Who knows? We may even agree on this before Friday.
I'm told one of the things stalling it is the refusal of Andrew Mwakwesiama to officially communicate to the speaker that he wants to sit on your side.
Please, I am unaware that Mr. Mwakwesiama has refused. Those words are your words. As far as I know, I can confirm that the Honourable Member for Fomena has made a clear declaration, and there is an indication that he would go by his words,
which is to work with the NPP.
No, he has not. Yesterday we were with him. We had a meeting. We work together. We see ourselves as one people. All right. So
what's stopping him from letting the speaker know that officially?
Well, has Mr. Speaker complained to you that he hasn't received any official communication from him? Or has he told you that he has not written? Or has anybody told you that he's refusing to? Yes. Who said that to you?
Well, Ibrahim Ahmed makes the point that what is stalling the process in terms of coming to a firm decision on which side should constitute majority has to do with the fact that Mr. Siama hasn't gone ahead to
has he consulted the speaker? He is not the speaker.
Did you know for certain that Mr. Siama has probably done that?
I am saying that he is not the speaker. We have had a meeting, certain roadmap agreed on. We shouldn't be crossing the bridge until we get there.
If on Friday morning NDC MPs occupy the speaker's right-hand side, what will your side do?
I have said to you before, and I will repeat. Look at our posture. MPP respect civility and decency. We don't believe in that bully type of behavior. Why if if they, like they did, they went to remove our name tag and sat there. If they decide to hurriedly go and sit there, they should sit there. Once there are seats in parliament to sit on, our leader has told us to concentrate on following due process.
So Mr. Afenyo-Markins has meanwhile also been defending the NPP's position that it holds the majority in the 8th Parliament. He says the standing orders support their position.
The so-called lacuna that the NDC want to impose on us does not exist. There is no such lacuna. The construction is clear. When a party or parties come together and their numerical strength is such that they have more than the other grouping, they form the majority caucus. And wait. And somebody is saying that because of the word party or parties, an independent member of parliament who decides to join a party cannot properly so called be described as a party. What that person has forgotten is that there is no such interpretation of the word party or parties in the standing orders. So you cannot limit yourself to a political party. It does not say a political party. Mind you that the provision that talks about majority leader and minority leader is at the interpretation column, portion, or the 7 has to do with interpretation. And there is no other use of the word party or parties to mean a political party. So you will be lost in an artificial forest created by you. If you try to say you are a literalist, you will limit yourself to a meaning of convenience because you have seen the word party or parties. I am saying, and I am going to invite Mr. Speaker to hold that the construction party or parties practically will mean and should mean independent members of parliament or an independent member of parliament, because after all we use a construction, a party to a contract, a party to an agreement to mean an individual or a registered entity in law as a limited liability company, company limited by guarantee, or a corporation and all that. You get the point. So my view is giving this a purposive broader interpretation, an interpretation that will be fit for purpose, is the best way to go. You see, the NDC is trying to push this view so that they can have an opportunity to share committee chairmanship with us. That is all they want to do.
Deputy Leader of the NPP caucus, Alexander Afenyo-Markins, there speaking to parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo. I'll bring in the Chief Director of the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Agridako, shortly, but I'm sure he joins us now. Thank you very much, Dr. Agridako, for joining us. I'll just wrap up with Joseph. Okay, I'll just wrap up with Joseph Opoku-Gakpo because he's been monitoring the second meeting in 24 hours that still came out inconclusive. So, Joseph, first off, let's start with the issues raised by the Deputy NDC Whip, Ibrahim Ahmed, blaming Honorable former MP, I beg your pardon, Andrew Zamwa-Kwesiama, for stalling the entire process. I'm sure you've been finding out from the former MP why he hasn't sent his letter.
He wouldn't comment. He wouldn't say anything except to make the point that things are inconclusive, and he would only comment on how things are going when the entire process is concluded. He was in the meeting today. When he stepped out, we tried getting that response from him, and that's what he would say. He won't confirm anything.
Okay, and the other leaders were also unable to confirm whether he has written that letter.
Funny enough, the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, makes the point that tomorrow morning, around 11 a.m., he will be addressing the media on all these issues that have been unfolding over the last 2 or 3 days. And that's when he will be ready to give the details on what the way forward would be. But on the side of the well, did I say minority leader? I actually meant the leader of the NDC side. You should understand that, this phrase everyone has become used to it. But essentially, no one is willing to give any more details beyond what we got from Afenyo Markins and Ahmed Ibrahim, beyond what we've heard.
Okay.
It's only after tomorrow that they would comment.
But it's interesting that after 24 hours, second meeting, 2 meetings, and they were all inconclusive. But you've been looking at the demeanor of these leaders once they left today's meeting. What exactly was it?
All of them appear very confident in the position that they hold, that the NPP, for example, insists that they hold the majority. The NDC insists that there is no majority. They all walk out of the meeting laughing as if everything else has gone well, until we begin to dig deep, and then we find out that nothing conclusive has still been reached as at yet.
Okay. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, please, you can stay with me, but let me bring in Dr. Agri Darko now, Chief Director, Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. Thanks once again for your time. So from your own understanding, Dr. Agri Darko, of the standing orders, can the NPP plus the Fomena MP on its side claim majority in the House?
Oh, I thank you very much for the opportunity. I thought you were going to leave me out of this partisan politics. You expect that political parties will negotiate, and will negotiate from their perspectives and try to get maximum out of the negotiations. The ministry will be interested in working with Parliament, especially in areas that will build capacity, especially in areas that will build consensus, especially in areas that will help us improve upon the trust that we have. It seems to be working in a low trust society, and that is not good for the development of this country. So these are areas that we would want to partner the institution so we can build capacity going forward. The negotiations thus far indicate that indeed in any serious negotiation you will want to get the maximum. It should be a win-win situation, and that is what is enduring. You don't have to force anybody to come to certain conclusions that would not be enduring, that will not stand the test of time. And so what we'll be looking for will be building conclusions that will stand the test of time for me. And that is why perhaps there is a bit of delay. But we should not be it won't happen, the conclusions will not happen like osmosis. It takes some time. And I'm sure the national interest concerns will dominate at the end of the day. Yeah.
But to the extent that we've had 2 meetings with the speaker presiding and still inconclusive. One side comes out and they take an entrenched position. The other also says that it's because of this. Does it really look like, knowing that we are going to Parliament on Friday? We saw what happened during the election of the speaker. The NDC side came in early, occupied the majority side. We've also heard the whip on the MPP side insist that on Friday when they go to Parliament, whatever happens, they would also go and occupy that position. And that's the concern. So if they go into 2 meetings already, we're going into a 3rd tomorrow, and still inconclusive, are you hopeful that really there will be a consensus on this matter?
Certainly. You know, this is the first time we find ourselves in this position. That is why we have said time and again that democracy is a process. It's not an event. All these scenarios and other scenarios will play out as we move into maturation and consolidating the very principles that you and I have put in place. So for me, I am very optimistic. I'm not an Afro-pessimist. I don't think that, I always think that something good can be done. Consensus will be reached. These individuals or these parties are fully aware of their obligation to the state. They know what is it that the key position of Parliament within the governance architecture of the state, and therefore they will want to strike a consensus, as I indicated, that would inure to the benefit not only of their parties, but the nation as a whole. Don't forget that they are members of parliament before perhaps they will be members of the various constituencies. What it means is that their representation is as important as the institution itself. And don't forget, these are rational actors. Utility maximizers do, but they are rational actors. So the institution itself is as important as the individuals within the institution. That is, for me, fundamental to the development of our country. That is why we have always been arguing that when we have allowed the institutions to mature, go through a path dependency, a number of scenarios will play out, and then will build capacity, and then they will inform future actions, and so on and so forth. So for me, I see it as a process of trying to consolidate our maturation as a democracy. And I have always argued that it will be a case study for others to come and perhaps look at how we navigated our way through these problems. I don't see as problems per se. They are challenges, but they will be surmounted.
Interesting case study it will be. But in most cases, consensus is always reached, but at a heavy price. In this case, we're hearing that the NDC side says they want the chairmanship of the committees split. 50% chairmanship for NDC, 50% chairmanship for NPP. Is that a fair demand to make from where you stand, you think?
No, I'm unable to comment on these matters because I don't deal in conjectures. What we can say for sure is that it ought to be a win-win situation. Don't forget that these are prime movers within the state. They've all had the opportunity to govern this country, so they know what it is to defend the national interest. These individuals in there know very well that we have a record to protect. Don't forget, it is not for nothing that we are touted as a beacon of peace and oasis of peace in the sub-region and the continent. We have attracted a number of investors. We have attracted a lot of goodwill in the international system because the bargaining chip that we have is good governance. And if we are going to continue to consolidate this, then we need institutions such as Parliament to live above board and indicate to all and sundry that they care about you and I and the development of the state. And I'm not sure that they are oblivious of this fact. They will live up to the expectation. That is what I know.
So we're going into a third meeting. Hopefully tomorrow, we are told, is scheduled for tomorrow. What should both sides, together with the speaker, go into this meeting looking out for, you'd say?
I'm thinking that all those outstanding issues will be cleared. The issue of who holds majority, minority among us. What is it that we're going to do with regards to the chairmanship of various critical committees? You see, those committees or the chairman of those committees, standing, select, ad hoc, if any, they are meant to do a number of things. One will be to ensure effective oversight. So it's not for nothing that the minority, for instance, chairs the Public Account Committee, just so that we can ensure proper scrutiny of oversight and so on. Of course, if we are looking at some of the critical issues like foreign affairs, interior, and so on, these are critical issues of national security, and no nation, however weak, or no government, however weak, will want to cede its authority or its hegemony over such critical committees. And of course, looking at the numbers that we have, I'm sure that the other party, that's the NDC, will also be arguing that look, we need some fair deal within the architecture that we have for ourselves. I'm sure that if we are, I'm not too sure about the content of the revised standard for this, but it's been on the drawing board for some time, and I know that the Southern Parliament concluded work on that. It is up to Parliament, for instance, to activate that going forward. And I'm sure that if they activate that, a number of these issues may even be addressed without necessarily going to some serious negotiation. For instance, one area would be what committees are chaired by some of the parties to ensure effective oversight.
Okay.
We live in an executive-centered era throughout the world. the executive is always powerful. But what we are looking for will be what type of countervailing forces do you have by way of tackling the overbearing and overmighty powers of the executive so that the public good will always be served or the public interest.
Okay. We'll leave it here. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Agri Dako, the Chief Director, Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. This week, earlier this week, we've been talking about this revised standing orders and where we are with it. It appears that we didn't really finish work on it before the 7th Parliament was dissolved. But let me bring in Dr. Rashid Draman. He's also a parliamentary expert and he'll give us a brief view on this as well. But Dr. Rashid Draman, thank you very much for joining us here on Top Story. From where you sit, 2 meetings, inconclusive. We're going into a third one tomorrow to take these major decisions, 3 key of these decisions. Going into tomorrow, do you think that a concrete consensus can be reached at all?
Well, I don't think that they have a choice. You know, we were taken by surprise on January 7th because we didn't see the embarrassment that we suffered as a country. We didn't see that coming. But we can see what is coming on Friday. And so, in my very humble opinion, I think the 2 leaders, together with the Right Honourable Speaker and whoever is involved in these discussions and negotiations, would have to work until they find a solution. We have no choice.
And you're hopeful that we can avoid another embarrassment on Friday?
Well,
because we've heard the NPP side insist that this time they would occupy the right-hand side of the Speaker. Whatever it takes, they say.
To try and save us this embarrassment. I'm talking about both parties. Emefa, we have no choice as a country. And, you know, at this point, it is very clear that there is no party in Parliament that is going to get all that it wants. So it is going to take a lot of give and take. And that is where I think the negotiation would have to take place in terms of what is it that the NDC can sacrifice, what is it that the MPP can sacrifice so that this country can move on.
We are grateful. That's Dr. Rashid Draman, their parliamentary expert. Also joining us earlier, we heard from Chief Director of the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Agri Dako. We look forward to that third meeting tomorrow and hopefully a consensus will be reached. That's it for Top Story, brought to you by Vodafone. The future is exciting, ready. And Bella Kwamenwa Water. Newsnight starts in a bit.